Hi, my name is Alden Sova. I'm a PhD student in industrial engineering at the University of Toronto, and today I'll be assessing a recent assignment from my APS1012 course, applying 6 weeks of course concepts to my former employer, Intel. Let's jump into the rubric. Starting with 1 and 2, the problem is indeed well defined in the paper, as the majority of the 5 main sections focus on identifying different contributors to the overall lack of innovation in our office, and by focusing on personal experience but supplementing it with well-integrated course concepts and outside articles, I believe readers are able to clearly empathize with the issues, see the need for improvements, and understand what strategies have worked or not worked. As far as number 14, I think I made assumptions that were a little ambitious and not assessed. Number 1 is that NVIDIA and Intel are an apples-to-apples comparison, and also that my fab was an accurate microcosm for the whole factory. So I think I got a 3 out of 4 in that section. In establishing context for number 15, I think I clarified the context of our role, the workplace/expectations we fit into, and the background of each of the situations we faced, but I didn't provide context for the industry landscape Intel faced as a whole. That said, my paper was definitely more so focused on improving my individual fab, so I didn't see enormous benefit in doing so, though I do touch upon it briefly in the final paragraph when I scale towards the whole company. Moving on to number 29, the method I used, focusing on my experience in the company, then extrapolating it to the larger company, made sense and was applied well. My knowledge was in my personal experiences at Intel rather than what I had read or heard about their company as a whole, so focusing here made the most sense. I was able to pull from my wide breadth of experiences to make clear connections to course content, and the result was a well-written balance between course material, personal experience, and topical, bigger picture industry knowledge through outside sources. For 37, while the overall position I took about Intel struggling in innovation compared to their competitors is widely available, my approach of exploring my single fab as a microcosm through a systematic lens of innovation is a fresh and applied perspective. Importantly, it makes sometimes vague or abstract industry or course concept issues more tangible, more accessible, and more seemingly actionable to the reader. For 38 and 39, in describing my experiences, I do bring up alternate points of view, such as hypothesizing that change resistance was due to company tenure or that management's and other stubborn employees' decisions were due to a desire for control, but I don't consider them very seriously, more so framing them as excuses of their antagonists, of almost antagonists in this paper. However, given that this class focuses largely on innovation, this doesn't feel unreasonable to me to make this assumption. And additionally, I describe strategies that worked well for them, like performance evaluation, and I demonstrate my team's emphasis on framing innovations in terms of what it does for these other people. Moving on to 50 and 51, I pulled extensively from course concepts and the viewpoints of industry articles and academic papers, relating each very clearly to the scenarios I experienced at Intel or my recommendations for the organization, and I'm confident that I earned a full score in this section. For 63, limitations are an area of omission in my paper, as I didn't notice this smaller line on the rubric initially, but even with that said, a paper of this sort, especially one leaning on a novel method like my microcosm approach or recommendations of countless solutions, would definitely benefit from increased discussion of the cost of these. When speaking about the fab's representation to the larger company, I stay away from stating that they're directly equivalent, equivocating more that one's challenges illustrate broader innovation struggles across the other, and this indicates a little understanding of the implicit limitation, so this category did score a 2 out of 4. For 71, I believe the structure I followed, combining multiple personal experiences with innovation design concepts, was very strong in building a coherent and compounding argument, while similarly course concept-founded recommendations provide clear solutions. For 72, I certainly synthesized my various ideas and solutions together, but given that I mostly applied combinations of existing frameworks and solutions, I don't know that I transformed entirely new ways of thinking, unless the method I applied of assessing a company's characteristics through a smaller microcosm can be considered as such. So 3 out of 4. Moving to 83, the conclusions and outcomes were indeed logical. I spelled out the issues and barriers to overcome, then proposed fairly realistic solutions to address these. 84, my ideas, conclusions, and solutions were almost all based on proven evidence-based frameworks and recommendations, so my ability to use evidence is shown strongly here. 85, while the order of my points and perspectives is not strictly based on priority, it was intentionally ordered to help create a compelling narrative storyline, starting from smaller scale people and culture issues, then working towards larger whole factory affecting issues, finishing by addressing the company as a whole. While the whole company points are obviously higher priority, I do not think reordering to put them first would have made sense. In creativity, for 99, I think The idea of linking my own experiences as a microcosm representing the whole company, using my own knowledge rather than trying to rely on secondary sources only, this is certainly a fresh approach and a fresh set of ideas. And while I didn't strictly create new knowledge, I believe I did create some degree of boundary crossing knowledge, applying popular concepts like the innovation decision process to less common applications, like manipulating them to support adoption of workplace acceptance rather than new technologies and the like. For communications and adaptations, 112, 113, while I subscribed to an existing narrative about the company, I added it to a well-developed perspective by explaining my own experiences through the lens of industry concepts, so it is certainly still contributing novel information and directions. And the intellectual risks I explore build around challenging Intel's status quo, challenging their entrenched workplace norms and culture on small scales, all the way up to redesigns of their entire org structure. 114, I believe I did tailor my approach to this paper to the assignment, as I synthesized the many learnings and concepts from our first half semester with my own knowledge and experience to create a new way of looking at something in a way that demonstrated this learning. And that is my summary of my assessment of the assignment. Thank you for your time.